This is a Headgum podcast.
Load up on guns, bring your friends. It's fun to lose and to pretend she's overboard and self-assured. Oh no, I know a dirty word. Hello, 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 how low? Hello, 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 how low? Hello, hello. Hello, how low? Hello, hello, hello. Wow, that was actually a stunning rendition of Smells Like Teen Spirit by me. That's an original song written by me. JK, Smells Like Teen Spirit, obviously by Nirvana. I can't believe that this is the first time Nirvana is a song on the show. You'd think by our 76th episode, someone would have said Nirvana before.
See, am I allowed to talk yet?
You know what? There are no rules.
Okay, great. Very different than high school. I worried that oh God, it's this song again.
Mm-mm.
So I'm glad to be, groundbreaking in a way.
You are.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving
and
us,
old.
Honestly, you're giving us what we all want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when people come in with all this niche bullshit.
No,
shit I've never heard of.
Yeah.
I love it.
How do you sing stuff you've never heard of?
I do spoken word.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yes. I do spoken word.
It's brilliant.
And I do like expanding my musical horizons and tastes.
Right.
But,
but it's like if you go to see a band play a show.
Play the hits,
Yeah, you're waiting to hear the one that you could just go home and listen to, on Apple Music or whatever also.
Yes.
It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it, but you don't hear new stuff.
No. I mean, there actually is nothing worse than when you... Okay, I went to see Joy Division.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to hear all the old songs. And I did. And then they started playing... Sorry, I went to see New Order. Like Joy Division, New Order,
It's similar.
It's all similar.
Yeah.
I went to see New Order. And they were playing all of their old songs, which are great. And then they pivoted. And they started playing their new songs.
No.
And no one wants to hear new songs.
No, but we all want to be the kind of people who do want to hear new songs. We just aren't.
I know.
Yeah.
But when you hear a new song and it's almost like,
yeah. Unfamiliar.
Yeah, it's like, what is this?
Right. No, because you gotta break it in to your brain.
Unless you're the Strokes, in which case every song sounds the same.
Right.
So even if it is a new song, it sounds like an old song.
Yes, exactly.
And it's like, people have joked about it for a million years, but it was when all of us were forced to have that U2 album on our...
Yes, my husband is the one person I've ever met who appreciated that album and is thankful that it was on. I think he is. I don't. And here's the thing. If it was anyone else, I'd be like, you're just trying to be contrarian.
Right.
He likes U2 that much.
Wow.
That he was just like, cool, a new U2 album. Truly the only person. For everyone else, it was a violation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've never heard it, and I won't.
I mean, it was fully unconsensual.
Yeah.
And it made me actually not fuck with Apple Music and with iTunes anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I would be listening, and this is when we didn't have a choice.
Right.
If you were listening to digitally downloaded music, unless you were at whatever, it was that was kind of it. There wasn't Spotify, there wasn't sound, I mean, there was SoundCloud, but just different.
Yeah.
And I'd be listening to my music, and then all of a sudden this album would come on, and I'd be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Right. It's ear rape.
It is. Someone had to say it.
Yeah, I said it,
and you said it,
and I'm sorry that I said it. If that helps.
You should have. I'm happy you said it. Someone had to say it, and it was you.
Should I have asked for consent before I said it?
No.
Okay.
Because the word is an unconsensual word and an unconsensual meaning.
Yes, and right.
Yeah. What do we agree, Tevi? You're upset that we are upset. We're moving on. Okay. The year is 1993. The year is 1993, and you guys are like, what's going on in the year 1993? Well, I'm here to tell you. This is from a website called mamateaches.com. I love finding the most absurd factoids.
Is this like a mamateaches.blogspot.com?
I don't know. I mean, it's not saying .blogspot, but it certainly does look like a .blogspot.
Yes. Fun facts about 1993.
Yep. Here we go. Fun facts. In 1993, Bill Clinton was sworn into office. Nelson Mandela was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and a blizzard hit the East Coast. I love how these three things are in one sentence together. Right. Okay, number 1. This is a really strange one. Put a sun-dried tomato on it. Italian food was booming in 1993.
That was
with the trendy addition of sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah, that's like their 1993 version of like put a bird on it.
But does this ring true to you?
Yeah. Well, the part that rings true is I remember it was like a hacky comedy thing to talk about like sun-dried tomatoes. They came out of nowhere.
Really?
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
I love that.
I don't personally remember noticing all of a sudden.
Like in your senior year of high school, you weren't incorporating sun-dried tomatoes into your day-to-day?
I mean, I do remember them being on menus and things, but it wasn't like I had all these years without them and now here they are.
Right.
But that feels right.
Right.
Feels like a thing.
Okay.
But I do remember, before that, I remember all of a sudden sushi was everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And that hadn't been around before.
That really, took the world by storm.
Really, it exploded on the scene.
It did. This is also the year of low-fat everything, Snackwell cookies.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that it was that long ago.
It was the Snackwell. I remember when Snackwells invaded my home. Shiny fabrics were high in fashion. Everything was about shine, satin, silk, and sequins. Okay, tell me more. Ariana Grande was born in 1993.
Good for her.
Good for her. Yeah. As was Pete Davidson, Meghan Trainor, Niall Horan, Miranda Cosgrove, Morgan Wallen, and Chance the Rapper.
Okay, stop with all the young people.
Michael Jordan walked away from the game. The first Beanie Babies hit the market.
Do you remember Beanie Babies?
In 1993, Beanie Babies included Legs the Frog, Squealer the Pig, and Chocolate the Moose. I had Chocolate the Moose.
You did?
I remember that. I did.
Was that your only Beanie Baby?
We'll get to that in one moment. And I'm going to end it because I actually have a lot to say about this. I'm going to end it with the last 2 facts I see that I think are good. Jessica and Michael, number 1 baby names in 1993.
Oh, yes.
And I'm going to end it on this. Whitney Houston sang I Will Always Love You. That's when she came out with I Will Always Love You in 1993.
Okay.
And I know that you're wondering, where were we in 1993? We were in Orange County, California, and we are Alison Rosen.
Hello. It is wonderful to be here. What a trip down memory lane.
I'm so happy to have you. I'm assuming my comfortable talking position.
Please.
Let's just quickly, we put a pin in Beanie Babies, and I just want to say something quickly about Beanie Babies. My mom was anti. My mom was like, you can't be a hoarder. I don't want you. Like, collections weren't really like a thing in my home. My sister had Breyer horses.
Are those plastic molded horses?
Yeah.
I think maybe I had one.
Yeah, she had those. And I think my mom thought that those were like chic, like equestrian chic, which they were.
Yeah.
Beanie Babies, I had friends that had like tons, like a hammock of Beanie Babies.
Oh
my one friend had that would hang over his bed. Strange. But I was not allowed to have that collection. And I always wanted like the Princess Diana Beanie Baby.
There was a Princess Diana. I was not a Beanie Baby person.
Oh, yeah.
And it looked like her?
No. No.
What was it?
It was blue. Was it purple?
But what animal was it?
It was like a
bear.
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I always wanted like the tie-dye Beanie Babies, but really what I was after, because I was a big McDonald's kid growing up. I was really after the mini Beanie Babies that would be in a Happy Meal. Do you remember those? I was obsessed. They were like this big.
That's adorable.
They were so cute.
What animals were they?
All different kinds. And they would be stinky, stinky, stinky like fries.
Yeah.
Like they would never, you could not get the stench of
Right.
McDonald's off of them. And I loved them.
This is amazing.
It is.
Yeah, I never had a Beanie Baby. However,
Well, you were like 18. So you were probably
Right.
like not into it.
Yeah, but it could have been an investment.
And you know what? It's sad that you weren't thinking about investing.
I know. I wasn't thinking at all about futures or anything. No, someone gave me a Beanie Baby that I didn't realize was a Beanie Baby, like a little toy, a little stuffed thing that, because it looked like my dog. And then my dog got it. And we noticed there were all these little tiny like plastic circles, balls on the couch. I was like, where are these coming from? And then I realized they were leaking out of the Beanie Baby.
Because your dog was like fucking with the Beanie Baby.
Yes, eating the Beanie Baby.
Yeah.
But that is what's inside. Little,
Yeah.
I
Beanie
had no idea.
Babies.
Yeah.
One might say.
Right. Tons of them.
So my question to get things started, even though I feel like we've already been talking for
like
900 minutes.
Me too.
In a good way, though.
Jinx.
What was going on in high school? What were you like in high school? Orange County, iconic place.
It was this, yes.
This was pre
iconic.
The OC,
yes.
But it really kind of has evolved in, Laguna Beach reality TV, the OC TV show. There has been a lot of like high school,
yes.
Not ephemera, that's not the right word, but like high school lore around around Orange County.
Yes. And I moved to New York, and I was living in New York when the OC came out. And I remember thinking, I can't believe this show is making me feel nostalgia for a place that I know intimately is not nearly as like dramatic and exciting as this show is making it. It was much more just kind of banal and boring. That being said, dark hair, pale, non-athletic.
I was going to say, because you're not giving the classic OC blonde beach bunny vibe.
So I never felt like I fit in Orange County. I grew up specifically in Corona Del Mar. I never felt like I fit in there. Everyone there, I mean, not everyone, but almost everyone, blonde, blue-eyed, very athletic, Republican, conservative, religious. A lot of people still live there. They go to USC, then they come back and they are, they work in, oh my God.
Like real estate?
Yes, thank you. I was like, they work in realtor? That's not right.
You're like, what is the industry? They all like work in real estate.
How did you know I was going to say that? Because you know.
And I know I have a lot of friends from Orange County, and I feel like they all say the same thing. They're like everyone that moves back there is like conservative, works in real estate, like the whole thing.
I have to meet these other people that emigrated. But it just I've completely lost my train of thought because I lost the word real estate, and then I was, shit, what was I going to say? It was something about they come back.
Did you just feel like a complete outsider all of high school?
Pretty much. So I went, I know what I was going to say.
Please.
I know what I was going to say. Okay. So I don't know how well you know the area, but there's the Back Bay.
I don't know. I do not know the Back Bay, honey.
The Back Bay is like it's a bay. And so there's like Newport Beach, Corona Del Mar. That's on one side of the bay. And then on like the other side of the bay is Costa Mesa and some of the other cities. And the other so I went to college and then I came back and I lived in Costa Mesa, which is on the other side of the bay. And in a way, it's almost like other side of the tracks, even though there's like beautiful, beautiful homes on either side. But a lot of my Costa Mesa friends are still down there, and I feel like they're very different than the picture I'm portraying of the people I grew up with. So I just want to say, like, there's a lot of Orange County that's really wonderful. And I went on to work for the OC Weekly, and Orange County is actually very big, and there is a lot of diversity. But just in the pocket that I grew up in, no, it was just all, like Lenny Riefenstahl's wet dream.
Right.
These are just very strong Aryan people. So yeah, I didn't feel like I fit in. I went to a private school from kindergarten through 8th, and then I went to a public high school. And this was my first experience not wearing a uniform, which on the one hand was great, but then on the other hand was like, well, I don't know.
So stressful.
Very stressful. the school that I, went to from kindergarten through 8th was so small that it was really like, it was co-ed, but these people begin to feel like family members because you've known them since you were 5. So all of a sudden, I was like thrust into this bigger school, and socially, I just felt like I was floundering. Like I was very much a late bloomer who thought I was very mature. I didn't know what to do. I was very nervous, and I just wanted so badly to be inconspicuous. So I was just like, I'm just going to try to conform and like fly under the radar. I mean, very different than how I am now, where I really, on my various shows and things, I really just want to like be honest and be myself. Then I was just like, I just want to fit in.
Well, it's hard to be honest and be yourself when you're like 14.
I think so.
Because it's like what does that mean? Like, what does that look like?
Right.
I feel like there's, the reason why I'm so obsessed with talking about this time frame is because it's like in high school, you suddenly feel like you know everything, but you know nothing.
Yeah.
But in the feeling of knowing everything, it's this confidence that like, or lack thereof, that kind of only exists in this like fever dream that is high school, And I think that it's interesting to talk to everyone about how they navigated that and how they dealt with that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was a late bloomer. I'm trying to think like when I really became myself. I think I began to become myself in college maybe, but it took me many, many years. But in high school, I certainly was not myself. I mean, I was wearing like blossom hats.
I love that. Well, what did you wear to your first day of school? Do you remember?
Oh, okay.
Because
I know I have pictures.
Your freshman year of high school was 1989.
Yes.
Which is like kind of where we're at stylistically, I feel now.
Right. Well, wait a minute. It was 94 is that right? Yeah. So 89, 90, 91, 92, 92, 93. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 89. God, I think I wore jeans that were like dark blue, but had some kind of like, they were like loud, dark blue acid wash jeans.
Yeah.
Oh boy. And then I believe I wore a long sleeved, like rugby style oversized shirt from Benetton.
You're literally describing what teenagers are wearing to school today.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The one thing that I wish I hung on to was I had some brown suede Doc Martens.
Cute.
I think I had 2 different pairs of them. I have to give my sister, who is 4 years younger than me, who copied me in everything, except she got those first. And then I was like, those are cute. I'm going to get those. So she was really the trendsetter in the family for the Doc Martens. And I didn't keep them. Like I am a hoarder in every way except for my clothes, I guess.
Which is almost like, why am I not hoarding my clothes?
Yeah, because those are going to come back.
Exactly. It's like I'm hoarding like trinkets that I get on KLM when I fly business class. And I'm not hoarding my shoes?
Back before GPS, if you were going to take a trip and you were a AAA member, you could stop by. This is how cool I was. You could stop by a AAA office.
And get the map book?
The triptych.
Yeah.
Yes, they would make you a custom triptych.
It was so cool.
I found some of those recently that I've kept for 100 years.
I
I can't throw these away.
No.
But the clothing I got rid of. Yeah. And then what backpack? I had like a one shoulder backpack from Limited or something. And I was on the tennis team for like a week and a half because I really wanted the sweatshirt. I was, again, I've explained, not athletic. I did not want to sweat. I have naturally curly hair. They hadn't yet invented like Brazilian blowouts or Japanese straightening or anything like that. So I think I still was wearing it curly at this point. I had clear braces that had just been put on that summer. So my teeth were still very crooked beneath these clear braces, metal ones on the bottom. I had big hair against my will, and I did play tennis. That was the one sport I played, and I did want the sweatshirt. So I'm
sure
like,
it was
I'm gonna
so
do.
cute.
It was super cute,
like
but
little rackets on it.
I can't remember if it had rackets, but I feel like it should. It had embroidery for sure. So I had to go to school early to do tennis. So here's the reason I quit tennis team.
Okay.
Because the warm-up was running 2 miles.
Hell.
And it made me dry heave. But these other sleek, Olympians.
Yes.
Could do it without even breaking a sweat.
You literally were going to school with Olympians.
I actually was.
I know.
Carrie Strug, is that her name?
I don't know, but it sounds like
gymnast. There was a Carrie who was an Olympic tennis player. Carrie Strug is a gymnast. But yes, I was.
I know. I mean, all of my friends that grew up in Orange County, like all of their friends are like, oh yeah, do you know Blair Saki?
I know who that is.
She grew up in Orange County. She was a volleyball. Blair was a D1 volleyball player, but all of her friends were Olympian volleyball players.
What high school did she go to? Do you know?
She's been on the show. I forget. She went to.
I gotta find out.
She went to some. I think it was like a.
Were you gonna say Campbell Hall?
No, it was like a uniform. No, it was in Orange County.
Campbell Hall. Oh, right. Mater
Campbell
Day.
Hall's here. Maybe
Mater Day or I could. Whatever. Santa Margarita.
Yes.
Oh, I need to meet these people and we can have like a support group.
I know. So
wait, does she need one though? Do they need support groups? Because I feel like I might have more ire against Orange County than these people do.
I think she would probably love a support group.
Okay, good.
I think she would. I'm not going to speak for her, but I think that if the opportunity presented itself, she would not say no.
Perfect.
So were you a good student?
Yes. Yeah, I was.
Were you like academic girl?
Yes. I was in AP classes and stuff in high school. So I think some of it was just having come out of this private school that was academically very good. So I placed into advanced classes.
Yeah.
But so let me just give you a little bit of background. At the private school that I went to, really socially, there were like two groups. There was I'm going to say it was like the popular kids and the not popular kids.
Right.
But it wasn't like the popular kids made fun of the not popular kids or anything. There wasn't, they weren't at each other's throats. It's just that like popular kids, it was a co-ed group and they were just like faster.
Right.
And then the less popular kids, we were just more studious and bloomed later, I would say. So I had like firm standing among the non-popular kids. I enjoyed school, I had a good time. And then in 7th grade, and this is an experience that happened, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is an experience that happened to me it was like this shame. I didn't want anyone to know. And I've come to find out a lot of people I know had this experience roughly around 7th grade. But anyway, all of a sudden I became the outcast. I was like a social pariah kid.
Did something happen?
Not that I'm aware of, except that I think – so two things. This new girl came into school and I kind of like edged me out of my little group.
You got course corrected.
I guess. And also I think –
it happens.
My family, we drove across the country in the summer between 6th and 7th grade.
Sure. And you missed out on the summer.
I missed out on the summer, but also it was like 6 to 7 weeks in a car with parents who are still married, by the way, but who are at it. I mean, it was just like a very traumatic trip. I think that I was more insecure when I got to school. I don't know. But I have no idea really. But so anyway, I became outcast, lost all my friends. It felt like it was the whole year. It was really like a month and a half. But it just was it felt so devastating to me that I was just like, I never want that to happen again. I'm like a complete loser. I could lose my friends overnight. So when I went into high school, I was like, I don't want to be who I made a conscious decision to not be who I was previously.
Right.
So I'm not going to be conscientious. I'm not going to be nice. I'm not going to be studious. I'm not going to. I remember, I think I wrote in my diary, like, I'd rather be a bitch than be nice.
Like rather be feared than be loved.
But the thing is, I didn't know how to do that at all. So really, I was exactly the same person, but just like more, the stakes felt so high.
Right. God, it's so stressful.
It was really awful.
These things also like imprint on us. Like I have so much friend trauma.
Around that age?
Yes. Well, in middle school, it was always like, in elementary school, 5th and 6th grade, I was friends with like this popular girl, and she was kind of very hot and cold. Like she would be like, one day she'd be mad at me, the next day she'd love me, but then the next day she'd be mad at me again. So I like never really knew what was going on, and it really stressed me out. And I find myself to this day having like, there's like post-traumatic stress in my body. Like my friend, one of my best friends texted me last night and was like, you know, calling me a nickname that she calls me and asking me how I was doing. And in my mind, I know that she's just asking me what's up. But in my like adolescent, deep stored trauma, I'm like, she's mad at me. Because I'm like, why is she asking me how I am if she doesn't actually want to like attack me? It's very strange. And I'm telling you, this shit all stems from the psychological warfare, specifically young girls play on each other.
How long were you friends with this girl?
When I was younger?
Yeah.
I was only friends with her for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade.
Okay.
And then she moved away. And she fucking traumatized me. And then middle school was fine, but then high school was like, I was a wreck kind of in high school.
What kind of kid were you in high school?
I was like a floater who was also emo, who was also very mysterious because I wouldn't really let people in because I had been burned. And I was a stoner. I was not a good student at all, you know.
And where'd you grow up?
DC.
Okay. Yeah.
But I also felt like a fish out of water where I grew up. Because I grew up around a lot of like, no, actually, I didn't really feel like a fish out of water in DC. That's a lie. Around some people, you know, I always had the feeling that I was born in the wrong decade or like in the wrong time, that I was living in the wrong time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel that way when they're kids. I mean, I still sometimes am like, I was talking to these girls yesterday and I was like, I really think we're going to be post social media soon. And they're like, no, we're not. And I'm like, a girl can dream.
Yeah.
But
you're not the only one who thought that. I think that there was like when all the Twitter stuff, which by the way is of course still going down, but when it first started going down, weren't there articles? I feel like you're capturing the zeitgeist and these girls are wrong and we are going to be in a post social media time. Mentally, even if physically we're still on social media.
I agree. So, good student, dressing yourself, not on...
there was a store, I don't think it was a chain, I wish it were. It was called Ixies, and it was in. Okay, do you know Fashion Island?
Of course.
Okay.
Was I born under a rock? Of course, I know Fashion Island.
2 big malls in Orange County. There's South Coast Plaza Indoor Mall, and then Fashion Island, which is an outdoor mall.
Yes.
And it used to be much smaller, and then they expanded it. And at one point, they built the Irvine Ranch Market, which was the first like grocery store in Fashion Island, which now is, I think it's just called Atrium Court, but it had a grocery store on the bottom and then it had all these shops. It was like open lobby and then there are different floors of shops. And there's a store called Ixies and it sold overpriced stationery and notebooks and possibly clothing as well. Oh. And I bought, it was the coolest thing ever. I bought this notebook that was covered in ribbed yellow rubber, and I know I'm describing it like a condom, but it really wasn't. I'd never seen one yet, but it also didn't look like one.
Yeah.
Because I decided my personality was going to be, I like yellow.
I love that.
So for a little while, I liked yellow, even though I don't like yellow. That's how much I didn't know myself. But in this notebook, I would every single day I would write down what I wore, including. Also, at the same mall, there was a store called Elang or Elang, and they sold like big acrylic barrettes. So I had like a flight of different barrettes and giant earrings, also from the same store. So I would record in my Ixies notebook what I wore. Good. And what barrette and what earrings so that I didn't start repeating outfits.
Because you can't. That's social suicide.
Right. It's funny. Fast forward to me now in the pandemic, and like I basically wear one of like 3 things.
Oh yeah,
but also no one sees me.
I feel like if I like in my heart, I want to be a uniform dresser. Like, I want to be like Steve
Bill
Jobs
Gates.
or
Steve Jobs.
And just wear like turtleneck, jeans, shoes, and that's it. Like, open my closet, 5 things, that's it. You open my closet, you're like mental illness.
What do I see?
Chaos.
Okay.
Choke on spit. Chaos. Literal chaos. So wait, were you in a clique in high school? Because I do also feel like these Southern California schools, it's very Mean Girls cafeteria scene.
Yes. Okay. So what I neglected to mention was my friend Jody was very cool, and she lived up the street from me. So the neighborhood that I lived in, that I grew up in, the specific like where my parents' house was, I guess the tract you would call it. There were never any kids there growing up. And then this girl, Charlene, moved in, and she and I became friends. And it was Charlene. She became a cheerleader. It was very exciting to me to all of a sudden have people, because this is like all the TV shows that I grew up watching. Right. You could ride your bike to your friend's house and you could just play in the neighborhood. And I had never had that. So Charlene and I became friends, and she said, "Do you know Jody?" And I'm like, "I don't know Jody. She lives up the street from us." And she was the same grade as I was, but I went to the private school, and the public school that I went to also included 7th and 8th grade.
Got it.
And she went there, and I became friends with her, and she and I hit it off immediately. We became really good friends. This is when I was in like 7th, 8th grade, I guess. I didn't realize she was very, very popular.
Oh.
And so that summer, she took me to like events. I think, was it like a church youth group or something I don't know. We were at the beach with guys who were very attractive, who were like the most popular guys. But I didn't realize this until we got to school. And all of a sudden I like put it together that, oh my God, like it's like I don't know if I psyched myself out. I don't know if they sniffed loserness on me, but for a little while, I was hanging out with very cool kids. And I remember she's, this is also the time of passing notes. And I remember Jody wrote me a note for like my first week, and she's like, "Don't be scared. There's nothing to be afraid of." And I hadn't even told her. Like, that's how obvious it was on me.
Right. But going to a new school is intimidating for anyone.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, then at some point, I was in Jody's car, I guess, and I saw a note from one of these other girls to Jody saying how much of a poser I was, or a follower or something. I don't know. And I was just like, oh my God, it's happening again. And then Jody, but I was. I mean, they really had zero.
Do you know what I mean?
Jody wasn't.
Sure.
Jody was cool.
But this girl who wrote the note,
she sucked.
Also, she's only calling you a follower because she probably identified a follower in herself and felt insecure.
Yeah, I mean, she did not have it all figured out.
The
one cool party I went to that year, she got alcohol poisoning. She was not that year, my time in high school.
Right.
She was struggling in her own way too, I'm sure.
Of course.
But also was kind of a bitch. But anyway, so I think at that point, once I saw this note, I was like, I'm going to stop trying to fit in I'm not fitting in that well anyway in this group, so I'm going to stop. But so anyway, a turning point for me was by senior year, I had 2 best friends, Katie, whom I had been a friend of mine since the school before, and then our friend Jen. It was the 3 of us. We hung out all the time. And then, this was junior year. Katie, Jen, and I, and Holly, and then there were some seniors that we were friends with. And we had our own little crew. And I would not say we were a clique, but we were a friend group. And there was this guy, Brad, he was a senior. He ended up hooking up with all of us. Like, we all had this complicated relationship with Brad. And when we realized all of us had this relationship, we were like, wait a minute. But before that happened, in the honeymoon period of just getting to know Brad,
right?
He and I went to Fashion Island and to go Christmas shopping. I remember at the time, I don't know if they still make them, but there were candles that were in the shape of a circle. And they had like a clear wax core, and you'd light it and the whole thing would glow. Is this ringing a bell at all? They were like
cool.
They were super cool. they had they just like sushi, they exploded on the scene.
It sounds very cool.
But we ran into Charlene, who, like I said, was a cheerleader.
Right.
And I remember thinking, Brad's going to think I'm so cool because I know Charlene, and maybe she was even wearing her cheerleading clothes. I don't know. And she walked away, and then he's like, ugh, I can't stand cheerleaders. And I was like, wait a minute. I can't either. It like unlocked in me it's so silly.
No,
but it really was like a huge formative experience because I was like, oh my God, I've been trying so hard to pretend that I'm like have school spirit and I like all this stuff, but I really don't like it either.
Yeah.
And Charlene was fine, but the whole like pep rally, all of that, like it was not me at all.
Right.
So then I slowly started like kind of turning more into myself.
That's all thanks to Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
And Fashion Island and candles.
And Charlene in a way. I'm sorry
Charlene.
she, you might say she was like used by the experience, but
no. She was just there as
fine.
she was just there as like a token.
Yeah, she was an archetype.
I guess token is also using someone.
Right. No, she was an important catalyst.
Yes.
She was a catalyst.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you drink and do drugs in high school?
I smoked pot a couple times, but the first time I really felt it was my prospective student weekend at Pomona College, which before we started, I would say that's where I ended up going. I believe that was the first time I smoked out of a bong, and that was the first time I actually felt it. I like tried to convince myself that I felt it the other couple times, but I really don't think I ever did.
Yeah.
And it was like out of tinfoil.
Yeah.
But yes, I did. So like the very end of my high school experience, I started experimenting with pot. I, with my cool friend Jody, did have some sips. I smoked my first cigarette with Jody, and I drank my first beers with Jody. And I remember I would take a few sips and I would feel this like light feeling in my brain.
Yeah.
That I then decided like, those are brain cells popping. That's what's happening.
That's really funny.
Which maybe it was, I don't know. And then, like I said, this party where that not very nice girl got alcohol poisoning. And I know this from my diary as well.
Yes.
Someone said she's alcohol poisoning. I said, should we call 911? And everyone laughed like this was like the most ridiculous thing to say. I still feel like it was not the worst thing to say.
No. When someone has alcohol poisoning, you probably should most definitely call 911.
Although, I don't know how
they do.
I mean, pump your stomach. Well, it's already in your bloodstream, though. I don't monitor you. I don't know. I actually don't know how they knew it was alcohol poisoning versus like she
just
drank.
Being so drunk.
I think she was just so drunk that she threw up and was like, they were having trouble, getting her to like sit up.
Right.
But that was just a regular occurrence eventually. But anyway, I know that I went to this party and I had a can of Dr. Pepper and I poured half of it out and I filled up the other half with vodka, which by the way, isn't that like just a small version of a Borg?
Yeah.
Now. But I would later look back on that and be like, oh my God, that was so much alcohol. But I did drink, but I don't think I really felt drunk.
Yeah.
And I certainly didn't experience a hangover until after college.
Yeah.
And I did, ultimately begin to drink too much.
Sure.
I don't drink anymore at all. But at that point, it was just experimenting. And oh my God, I just remembered I also, in my experimenting, my parents had like a liquor cart and they had tons of bottles of stuff. So late at night, I would mix like triple sec and Diet 7-Up.
Oh, yeah.
But again, I never felt it.
Right. I think I got hungover once in high school.
Mm-hmm. What did it feel like for you?
I was sick.
Okay,
I was
a real
just
hangover,
sick.
yeah.
Like, not now when I'm hungover. I'm like, like I can't breathe.
Yeah.
I'm like panicking. I mean, now thankfully I try to not get into hangover territory, but being hungover when you're younger, I just remember feeling
more
sick.
rare.
Well, your liver is still
your
like
body,
fresh.
Yes.
Now my liver is like, bitch, please. My liver is like, please stop.
No, you get to a point where you almost start to feel, or maybe not everyone, but I got to a point where I started to feel hungover while I was still drunk.
Oh,
like
sure.
It wasn't the next day. It's like, and my husband, like the other night, he's like, I do not feel good. I had a beer earlier. It's just, Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to a point where your body is just like, no, thank you.
It's I always think like one of these days I'm never going to drink again. And then I drink again.
Do. I mean, maybe one day you won't, but
I do love drinking.
mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I'm the one person left in this town that is like open to just be like,
right.
I do love drinking. I love having a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
I love having a margarita. I do not like getting really drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever liked getting really drunk. I think I like the social aspect of drinking. So that's when I find myself getting really drunk. But I don't like how I feel. Like I feel sick now when I get really drunk. That's kind of where I'm at.
I could never hold my alcohol. Like I said, I never felt it until all of a sudden I started feeling it. I could never hold it well. And I would go from like sober to being too drunk, like so fast. I was such a lightweight, even though I was not lightweight. But
it happens.
Yeah, I envy people who can, like my husband actually, can have a few drinks. His personality doesn't change. You can't tell he's drunk. He's just like, he just manages it and maintains really well. Versus I would like, I feel like my eyes would get like wonky. I would slur.
Yeah. I think I just become like more jolly.
Oh, see, that's good. That's the dream. That's the goal. Now, another thing I'll say.
Yeah, sad. I'm bravely the one person on earth who becomes better when they drink.
You might know this from your other Orange County friends, but I do think there were a ton of drugs in my high school. I was just too innocent to ever be around them or see them.
I'm sure there were, but there are drugs, I think, at every school. But like it really depends on like the clique and the pocket that you're in. And it sounds like you were a pretty focused teen.
Yeah, I didn't, but yes, I was. I was like railing against it inside because I didn't want to. I wanted to be cool and I wanted to fit in and I wanted to experiment and I wanted to have all the experiences that were in my, like I read books in this Young Love series.
Yeah.
Which were like just teen romance novels. And I read all the Sweet Valley High books, all the Babysitter's Club books were very innocent.
Right.
But I wanted to experience, I read 17 and I think Sassy was around already and all those magazines too. And I really always wanted to be older than I was. And I wanted my period so bad.
When did you get your period?
I got it at 13. So yeah, but I mean, I had wanted it since I was like 9 or something.
Whoa, to want your period? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I mean, well, now of course I want my period every month, okay? But I'm just
the second I got it, I was like, oh, I hadn't thought this through. Because I thought you just like look it down in your underwear. It's a few drops of blood. You're like, I'm a woman now. And then it all happens. I didn't realize that, no, you like have a period for a week or so and you have to deal with it. And I was not ready to, I was like, I can't do tampons and I also can't do pads and I hate it all. So I would stay home from school because I just could not cope.
I mean,
it took me a while.
Bless your parents for letting you stay home from school.
My mom was so frustrated with me. But yeah, she did. I mean, I don't think I stayed home the entire time every month, if I even got it every month at that point. But yeah, it took me a while to like take it in stride.
Wow. Oh my God. Knock, knock, knock. Is that a door knock I hear? Why, yes, it is. We are in the high school guidance counselor's office. In this section of the show, you get to rectify a wrongdoing of your high school past. You can apologize to someone, say fuck you to someone, or both. Whatever it is, whatever trauma is haunting you, we resolve in this very moment. And then you never have to think about it again.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like my greatest trauma. I mean, okay, I do have a trauma that happened.
Yes.
I worry that I'm going to walk away from this and everyone who hears it and sees it and is in this room now is going to be like, she's so bitter. And I just want everyone to know, I have moved on except for sometimes.
By the way, I literally like was in my hometown doing shows. Some people came out that went to my high school who I was very happy to see. But also I'm like, all the dolls coming out of the woodwork now.
Right.
All the
Where were you back then?
Exactly.
Oh, look at you. Most popular girl in my school asking me to be friends on Facebook.
Exactly.
Because I went to high school with you and I don't recall you wanting to know me then.
Absolutely.
I get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a story that I actually don't think about very often. I think I've suppressed it. Because it's so like, I cannot believe this happened. I was on my high school newspaper. And I was the editor of the in-depth section. So our school newspaper was called The Trident. There was a section called In-Depth where we would look at like one topic in depth. So in my time there, we did like racism. And I hired Dave Rafalovich, who was like one of the best artists in my class. I wonder if he's still an artist. I should look him up. My reunion is coming up, and I think I'm going to go, mostly so I can talk about it on my podcast. But
you should go.
I got to find out what
You've got to do everything for content in this life.
Exactly. And he drew two hands shaking hands, and one was white and one was black. I mean, we are talking deep art.
Yeah.
So racism.
Kind of imagery no one ever thought of before.
It was mind-blowing to me. It really made me look at the world in a different way. And we did sensationalism, and someone had gone to see a taping of Wally George. Do you know who that is?
No.
You might be too young. Yeah. He was on, I think it was Public Access in Orange County, and he was like super like Trumpy Republican guy before other Trumpy Republican. I mean, this was like, before
knew he was the
Yes.
Ew, I don't even like saying his name on my podcast. Can we bleep that?
Yeah, let's bleep it. I think he's Rebecca De Mornay's father or had been married to her. I can't remember. But anyway, just a very heated, polemic show. I don't know if I used that word right, but I'm going to go with it. Anyway, okay. So I was the editor of the in-depth section. It was my senior year. I was also in AP classes. I was trying to get into college. And I was just like, I'm very overwhelmed and I can't do all of this anymore. So I wrote a letter to the teacher the grown-up who oversaw the newspaper. Her name was Mrs. Mook, and I don't mind mentioning her name. And I think she might be dead. But anyway, not because of this. So I wrote a letter to her explaining that like I'm overwhelmed and I need to quit. And I gave it to this guy, Chris, who I thought was nice, but I didn't know he was a snake. I gave it to him and I said, could you give this to Mrs. Mook? And that was that. And then I was in class and my two best friends, who I mentioned before, Katie and Jen, like came to the doorway and they're like, Alison. And I'm like, I'm in civics.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of learning something I'm going to forget. And they're like, psst. And they pulled me over and they're like, your letter they blew up your letter and it's taped to the wall in the newspaper office. And I'm like, what? So anyway, all the kids in that class, and by the way, I didn't, my days of being a humongous loser, I thought were behind me.
Right.
I didn't think they all hated me. And I don't think they did. I mean, Holly was the editor-in-chief of the paper and she was like a frenemy. She also had one of these weird relationships with Brad. So anyway, my letter was handwritten, but they retyped it and blew it up huge and taped it to the wall.
Why?
I don't know. It still doesn't make sense to me. But
a letter where you're just like, hey, I'm really overwhelmed. I have a lot going on and I can't do this anymore.
Yes. I may have also said in there, like, I don't feel like I'm getting enough help from the people
calling
under.
them out.
I didn't name anyone by name.
Right.
And honestly, I don't know that I said that. I'm guessing.
Right.
I'm guessing that I felt like too much work was falling on me and like maybe people are missing deadlines. I don't even know. It really wasn't
That's
like a poison.
humiliating.
Oh yeah. So I remember walking in, I think it was called the 400 building, walking into the room in the 400 building to look at my can we curse?
Yeah.
And my dang letter.
Yeah. You can say anything you
and
want.
hearing people say, that's so sad how they did that to her. And I'm like, I'm hurt. I didn't say that, but I was thinking like, I'm hurt. Like other people felt sorry for me that this happened. But I remember wondering, why did Mrs. Mook let this happen? And she's like, I just feel like it's important for people to understand the pressures that, section editors are under or something. I was like, that's not how this is reading.
No.
So I want to say fuck you to her.
Wait, was she the one that blew it up?
She didn't blow it up, but she let them do it. So Holly, who also deserves a bit of a fuck you, although I saw the attendance list for the reunion and she is going to be there. And she and I have been friendly since. Right. But she was editor-in-chief and, really Mrs. Mook allowed us to run the paper. She was just the, teacher advisor person. Right. But she taught journalism.
But she's still responsible.
I think so too.
She's like the adult overseeing the kids on how to act.
I do know that I was like, I cannot believe during newspaper class or newspaper period or whatever it was called, they sat there, retyped my letter, printed it out. For all I know, this is on paper where you had to then pull the perforated edges off. This is how long ago that was. I don't think they invented laser printers yet. I don't really know. But I mean, this was a project that they spent their time on. I do remember thinking this is what I'm saying. They spent all this time on this, not on putting the newspaper to bed. This is why I had to quit. So I don't know if any of that kind of attitude was in my letter. I really was surprised. And I really was I don't know what point they're trying to make by this, except that it's it is hugely humiliating. So my fuck you is to her for not putting the kibosh on that. What the hell, lady?
100%.
Yeah.
Well,
but also,
her.
Can I also give a fuck you to all the people who did that?
Yes.
That is fucked up.
It is. It's fucked up and it's rude. And you were just overwhelmed.
I was overwhelmed. And yeah. I mean, I probably should try to quit in person.
Whatever. I mean,
was 17.
You were 17.
Yeah, give me a break.
Tevi, do we have a classmates corner today?
We do. Today it's short and sweet.
Oh, okay. We love short and sweet.
So Paige says, hey, Greta and guest.
Hello.
Huge fan. Been listening to you since Lady Lovin', then The Worst, and now loving senior superlatives. I have a very simple fuck you that I'd like to give today. In high school, a girl who hadn't liked me since elementary school took to Form Spring to call me a pudgy brat. Joke's on her because it turns out that now that we're adults, all of the guys, girls, and theys love my wide hips and that I'm bratty. Stay cool, never change, Paige.
Okay, well, very short and sweet and straightforward. I'm happy you aired your grievances on the show. And we will say, fuck you together.
Fuck you.
For everyone. Yeah. I love it when it's a good fuck you on the show.
And it seems like she's happy with herself now.
Yes.
Which is the ultimate revenge.
It really is.
What was Form Spring?
I don't know. What's
it's ringing a bell.
So glad you asked. It was a website where you can send anonymous questions to someone.
Oh,
really?
But clearly it wasn't anonymous.
Yeah, and how do you send questions?
It was like a little box. Yeah. It was like it's a website you went to, and there was a little box that you can ask a question, and it went directly to the person who posted the link in the first place. So people would say, post in my Form Spring. But it was anonymous.
Oh, and then people can just anonymously bully you on your Form Spring.
Yeah. But apparently she knows who it was.
Okay. Well,
brat was a real insult for a while.
Yeah, you're a brat.
And in 7th grade, the girl who came in and edged me out of the way called me a brat.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, okay.
Ew, someone saying you're a brat, what a fucking bitch.
Yeah. Fuck you to her too. But
yeah.
You don't hear brat that much anymore, do you?
I call people brats.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. I take that back then.
Yeah, I'll be like, you're a brat.
How do you mean it though?
That they're brats.
But they're being annoying?
Brat. Yeah. My sister and I call each other brats.
Okay.
When we fight. You're being a brat.
That feels right.
I call myself a brat sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I have to.
But I kind of think that being a brat's cute.
Right. Is it because of the brat stalls?
Yeah, that's like brat stalls are cute. I'm also just like, be like, sorry, I'm being a brat, you know? But like, whatever.
Maybe I'll take brat. Maybe I'll start saying brat because typically when I send an email that I worry is annoying and it's usually like checking in about something.
I always say I don't mean to be a brat.
Okay, see, I say don't mean to be a pest, but or sorry for being a pest, but
don't mean to be bratty, but
maybe I'll switch to brat just for fun,
just
for like a brat.
You should start calling your kids brats.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
And they can be,
and it's healthy,
and it's accurate.
It's healthy to hear.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I gotta give them something to talk about in therapy.
Yes.
No, but I'm thinking like I've never called them brats.
You should look at
out.
your kids, and this is really good. You should look at your kids and you say you're being fucking brats.
Okay.
And then don't cold face walk away.
Right. I wonder if they would even know what it means. You know what? They will know what it means because my 6-year-old, he just turned 6. He's in kindergarten.
Did he start saying fuck?
No, he has never said fuck, but my 4-year-old, when he was 3, said it. Our babysitter said that their names are Elliot and Owen, and said that Owen said something really funny in the car. He referred to something as a tongue stickler instead of a tongue twister. And she thought it was really funny.
Really funny.
And I said, Owen, what was the tongue stickler? And he said, fuck.
That's really funny.
And I never found out what the tongue stickler was, but it certainly wasn't fuck.
Well,
and it was one of those things I all of a sudden understood when like you're trying so hard not to laugh because you don't want to reinforce it. Yeah. But all like our babysitter and my husband and I all just went like, I tried to hold it in so bad. It was so funny.
I fear for myself. Like, I really am like, curse words are language that is used to express feelings.
Yeah.
But I curse like there's no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I have such every sentence I say a curse word. It's bad.
I'm kind of like that too.
And I can only imagine what my future child will speak like.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be like, they'll be like 3 and they'll be like, hey, Mom, I just took a shit. Why didn't you fucking clean it up? You know, and I'll be like, okay, like I'm sure of that.
At a certain age, I think they can understand these are words we use around the house. We don't use these words outside. Probably not 3.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I guarantee you my 8-year-old will like get in trouble at school and come home and be like, my teacher was being a fucking bitch. Because they hear me say that all the time.
Right.
Well, good for me. I don't have a kid yet.
Yeah. Maybe you'll have a really cool kid because
I absolutely will, because
their
they curse.
language. Yeah. On the tip of their tongue.
If you could go back in time and give your high school self any advice, what would it be?
Don't be so scared.
Yeah.
Don't be so worried. And also stop. I mean, but also young me is not going to listen to this, but in a world where she could, don't think about what they think about things. Think about what you think about them. Do you like this person? Do you like these clothes? Do you like this music? What do you think of this situation? And because all that matters is your opinion of it. You're trying so hard to predict other people's opinions that you've either lost touch or haven't formed a connection with your own thoughts about things. That's really the most important thing. That's what I would say.
That's good. I think that's what we all need to say to our high school selves.
Yeah, really. I know.
It's good.
And also, I know you're not going to believe me, but things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Get into therapy early. I would say that too.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did you go to your senior prom?
So I didn't go to my own senior prom. One of my best friends, still to this day, the guy who officiated my husband and my marriage is named Trevor. He went to my high school freshman and sophomore year, and then he transferred. So he lived in Colorado, and he invited me to his prom, just as friends. But so I went to Colorado and went to his prom with him, and I missed my own, and I was fine with that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
What did you wear to his prom?
I wore a dress that was sold as a formal dress, but like should have been a wedding dress. It was big and white and poofy and lacy. It didn't have a train.
Do you have pictures?
Somewhere I do. And I can get one to you, and it will be so humiliating. But I know that I have pictures somewhere.
I love it.
Yeah. I wore a black choker with like a giant silver heart on it. And
again, very in style now.
I know. For years, I wore a black choker with not the heart one because it was too big, but with like a silver medallion.
Yeah.
And then I went to South by Southwest way before everyone else was, when it was really just a music festival.
Yeah.
I went year after year because I wrote about music at the time. And I made out with some guy, and I lost it in the course.
No.
And we were in public. We were like at a club, and we made out,
Hell.
and I lost it. Yeah. And it was like a real bummer.
Yeah.
So anyway, though, this big white poofy dress again, this is probably before your time, but there was a brand, Jessica McClinktock.
Oh, I
Do you know Jessica
McClinktock?
Okay. It was
We've
Jessica
spoken a lot about Jessica McClinktock on this pod.
Wonderful. In terms of dresses that people wore?
Just like the mall culture, Jessica McClinktock. It was very that.
I also had Jessica McClinktock perfume, which was the most like, it was like sharp and acrid. It was like violently floral.
Oh, I love that.
It made your eyes water and it made you sneeze. That was my not my actual perfume that I wore all the time was New West.
What was that?
Oh my God. My sister and I still to this day think it's like one of the best smelling perfumes. It was like, it almost smelled like Drakkar, like the female version of Drakkar, which I still like the smell of Drakkar. It was very fresh and clean smelling, but I also had Jessica McClinktock. Yeah, so any formal dress I had was Jessica McClinktock, just giant, broad shoulders.
As it should be.
Yeah.
As God intended.
Exactly.
And my last question on the pod, which I can't believe we're already done.
It's gone by fast.
Did you have a senior superlative?
No.
Did they do them at your school?
They did do them. And in the car on the way over here, I was thinking about the girl who won. At my school, we had a senior superlative for best personality.
Oh, hell.
Did you have that?
No. My high school gave weird ones.
Okay.
But when I hear these, like best personality, most attractive.
Yeah.
All of this stuff, it's so rude.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking. Like, how was that even determined? And
who comes together and is like, you know who has the best personality?
The girl that got it was popular, but kind of friends with everyone.
Also, how lame are you to be like sitting there being like, oh, I really think that Jessica has the best personality.
Yeah.
What?
I remember looking over and seeing that this girl, Jean, had voted for me for best eyes.
Oh.
I think it's the only vote I got. But I remember just being like, Jean, I never knew you felt that way about my eyes.
Well,
thank you. We were in math together.
Eyes. It was also
yeah.
Come on.
So when I would go to the orthodontist office, the orthodontist had daughters who went to Harbor High School, which was the high school across the bay, where the people that I think I would have fit in more with went. And I would like just pore over their yearbooks. And they had like most likely to start. Sorry, I banged your microphone.
Oh, it's okay.
Most likely to bang on most likely to start a revolution.
Yeah, sure.
Best artist.
I would love most likely to start a revolution.
My friend, who I later played in a band with, is now married to this guy, Neil, who won most likely to start a revolution.
Now that's a cool guy.
Yeah. That's the thing is when she met him, I was like, I know exactly who that is.
He was most likely to start a revolution.
Because I've been poring over yearbooks from the high school he went to. I know that's weird, but I know a lot about him. I know he has very short hair now. He used to have long hair. And he also won Best Artist, and he posed with a paintbrush and a palette.
Wow.
No, yeah, a palette. But anyway, my high school just had like Susie Quad. No. Was it Susie? And no, I think in my mind they're just Susie Quad and Chad Quad. But it was like king and queen of the quad.
Right.
We probably had Best Artist. We probably had like most theatrical. I didn't win any of these.
Well, we give you Best Eyes.
Thank you.
We give you Best Eyes on this pod.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me.
And sort of reliving. I feel like we didn't even scratch the surface.
We didn't. But I say that in a way of like, because still high school waters run so deep. And I feel like we really...
I say to some people, you need to come back on for a part 2. Because when people are really open to talking about high school, they have to come back.
I would love that.
Please
Can I
do.
tell you, I was at my parents' house recently, and I grabbed a big stack of yearbooks. And I was like, I am going to go back to my house where I'm a grown-up, and I'm going to read what everyone wrote to me because it'll help me make sense of high school. And I cannot bring myself to crack the yearbooks.
Well...
I've been intending to, but I just haven't.
Like that's you can't open them?
I mean, I just haven't read them is what I'm saying. I was going to read what everyone wrote to me.
You have to. Read what everyone wrote to you and then read your journals and then come back on.
Okay. Sounds painful.
And then tell me if you've decoded everything.
I will. Okay, I will do
that. It's
like
reading Sanskrit.
Yeah. I mean, because I just feel like it's going to be like, can't wait to see at the beach. We made it.
The hieroglyphics of high school.
Yes, it's going to be nothing about me personally. But I mean, some of them were long senior year because it was like this space saved for Katie. You know?
Like inside jokes that you don't remember anymore. I remember like reading one of my yearbook things. It was like to amazing times in the parking lot. And like the popsicle sticks, lol. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't know what this is.
Right.
Or like waffles for life, someone wrote. And I'm like, I don't know. I literally don't know what they're talking about.
Did you eat a lot of waffles?
Who the fuck knows?
I feel like you must have. Was it the number 4?
Yeah.
Lyfe. Okay, yeah. I'll do it. I'll decode.
Yeah. Where can all my listeners listen to you?
Please listen to my podcast, Alison Rosen's Your New Best Friend. I have 3 podcasts. Alison Rosen's Your New Best Friend, which comes out twice a week. Childish, which is my parenting-ish podcast with Greg Fitzsimmons. And then the new one I just launched, it's a Patreon-only podcast. It's called Alison and Todd After Hours. I used to do Upworthy Weekly with Todd. That is no more, but we've rolled it into Alison and Todd After Hours. So for that one, it's patreon.com/Alison and Todd. It's just $2 a month. And then follow me on social media at Alison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm lightly on TikTok, the Alison Rosen. Oh, and YouTube, youtube.com/Alison Rosen.
I love it. 3 pods.
3 pods.
I salute you.
Thank you so much. I feel saluted.
You're brave.
I'm just living my truth.
Good.
You know, after the debacle of high school.
You must.
Yeah, try.
Wow. Once again, another absolutely iconic episode of my perfect podcast, Senior Superlatives. Thank you so much for listening to me. Please write us, Classmates Corner. You must write in, seniorsuperlativespod@gmail.com. Please come and see me live June 19th and 20th at the Elysian Theater in Los Angeles. And then if you're in New York, you can come and see me at Littlefield, July 27th. You know, I love seeing you at my shows. And I love you all. And, please, positive reviews only. We don't like negativity on this show. No. 5 stars. Once again, free service.
Yeah.
And, I love you all. Stay cool. Never change. Until next time. Ciao.
That was a Headgum podcast.